This is Veronica Weintraub with my original oratory on abortion. Growing up, we're always asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or where do you see yourself in the future? And it makes sense, right? Our parents, families, and loved ones know that we have the strong potential for a bright future. And they're right. People like Charles Darwin, Marie Curie, and Martin Luther King Jr. were all children whose parents probably asked them similar questions because they saw a bright future in them. Now, as a high schooler, I think about that phrase a lot. As a middle schooler and elementary schooler, that phrase was nailed into my brain. My future. And it matters. It mattered 5 years ago, and it mattered in the womb. As soon as I was conceived, my future was still bright. When I was 6, I wanted to be a nurse, which is quite different from my goals now, believe it or not. But the excitement never went away. So why do some children not get the chance to be asked these questions or to feel the excitement? Why is it that they aren't even given an opportunity to prove themselves to society? They are torn away from any and all experiences without feeling value, love, or compassion. Compassion. This word is highly important when discussing abortion. Compassion for the child, yes, but also compassion for the mother, the woman who is going through this traumatic experience. Women deserve so much better than abortion. Women deserve a solution that can offer support for everyone in the situation, at every stage of her and the child's life. Abortion may seem like a good solution, and why wouldn't it? Planned Parenthood claims that the abortion procedure is, and I quote, a deeply personal experience, positive and affirming act of healthcare, emphasizing patient autonomy, the safety of the procedure, and the care provided by their clinics. However, the National Library of Medicine highlights that induced abortion produces many concerns, a few being risk of breast cancer, mental health disorders, and premature death. Many abortion clinics try to make it sound like the abortion procedure is a safe, affirming experience. For example, one article from Planned Parenthood titled "The Emotional Effects of Induced Abortion" states, substantive research studies have shown that legally induced abortion does not pose any mental health problems for women. However, one study shows that over 66% of women suffer from extreme regret and mental distress post-abortion, with another showing 27%. So the evidence is clear. Abortion contributes to mental health problems. For example, a 2016 analysis of data from the National Longitudinal Study of Adolescent to Adult Health has shown that each exposure to abortion increases the risk of mental health disorders by 23%. A 2023 study also indicates that pressure to undergo an abortion is associated with poorer mental health and emotional outcomes. Now, you may be thinking women only resort to abortion when they are made to believe they have to or are forced to. And I agree. Most women do not understand the full effect abortion has on their lives, which is why we need to disprove the abortion industry and the lies it poses at women. Growing up pro-life, I always wondered why someone would be pro-choice. I later learned that many people do not believe that life begins at conception. Now, 7-year-old me was shocked because I assumed everyone knew or believed this. It's a scientific fact. Now, recently when I was doing research on Planned Parenthood's website, I was curious as to when they acknowledged life. When I came across this statement, questions about when life begins are personal, and it's just not that simple. For some, it's based on faith. For others, it's a matter of science or medicine. I almost laughed when I read this because you would think that an organization that specializes in ending life would at least know when life begins. Of course, the issue of abortion is not simple in any way, shape, or form. However, there has to be a clear-cut moment when life begins. Planned Parenthood avoids an answer to this question not because they do not know, but because they do. I believe the organization fully understands that the baby, or fetus if you will, is alive and growing in the womb. So why do they choose to ignore it? That's simple. It would mean less customers, less support, and less funding. Fortunately, there are real solutions available. For example, there are over 824 pro-life nonprofit organizations simply in the US. Though the number of pregnancy centers, which is a specific type of pro-life organization, is estimated to be over 2,700. What's unfortunate is that women are indoctrinated by our modern culture into thinking that abortion is empowering, safe, and necessary. In fact, studies show that 1 in 3 women will have an abortion in her lifetime. It's ironic because studies show that the vast majority of women do not regret choosing life, with research indicating that around 95 to 99% of women feel that they made the right decision years later. while the National Institute of Medicine states that over 74% of women regret having an abortion. There's a reason for that. Life brings joy and happiness. This is not to say that women do not feel overwhelmed, betrayed, or even resentful towards their child or situation at first. But it is in fact to say that women form an emotional bond with their children the minute he or she is conceived. This bond is different and more special than any other bond known to mankind. One quote from Janet Morana in Everything You Need to Know About Abortion says, "I was left afterward feeling worthless, empty, and I regret this experience every single day. It has taken years for me to recover, although I do not think a woman can ever recover from this." Many women relate to this quote, and their stories and experiences matter. One argument to this point is frequently that women deserve to choose, even if it's the wrong decision, which is another statement I somewhat agree with. The choice begins long before the baby is born or even conceived. While it may sound harsh, we need to take responsibility for our actions. Even in terms of forced pregnancy, which is 0.5% of abortions that happen, there are solutions and options that do not take a human life or scar the mother for the rest of her life. The bottom line is, innocent children should not have to suffer for their parents' or fathers' irresponsible or bad decisions. Women are capable and strong enough to take responsibility. Women do not deserve to have their child brutally ripped away from them. They do not deserve to be manipulated and lied to. And these millions of innocent children that die every single year do not deserve. 85% of women are offered abortion as a solution, even when they would not consider choosing abortion to begin with. Which is why it's my goal to disprove Planned Parenthood and disprove the abortion industry as a whole. Because families do not deserve to be ripped apart, and women do not deserve the manipulation that Planned Parenthood and other abortion facilities pose and force them to accept.